Coming up in this video, I'm going to be using these Procyon MX dies to ice dye some more warps. In the previous video, you can see my first attempt. So I'm going to be using 4 Procyon dye colours. So we've got rust orange, olive green, yellow, and raven. Other equipment will be soda ash, gloves, dust mask and ice, although I'm not going to use this dust mask again because it hasn't got a filter and it's very difficult to breathe in it. I think I was having too much carbon dioxide. So I'm going to get another one, maybe a respirator for next time. Now I should have washed the yarn or scoured it to make sure there's no grease or anything that's going to stop the dye attaching. But I didn't basically. So then when I used the soda ash solution, it made it all brown and horrible and smelly. So shan't do that next time. So what I've done is I have used an ice dyeing technique, and basically what that does is you sprinkle the dye over the top of the ice, and as the ice melts, the dye gradually, a bit at a time, drips onto the yarn. In the brown sort of plastic tub, there is 2 skeins, one of the sort of woolen linen and one of the cotton. And I thought I'd try doing the ice on the top over a grid and have it drop into the muck and see the difference really between the different types of skein. I've mixed up the colours a little bit. I've got yellow and a bit of rust orange in the top corner, going down to olive, then black, then back to yellow and rust orange. So there is actually 1 skein under the top part. And then you can see I've just stuck an extra skein of this sort of tangled recycled cotton. I could only get crushed ice though, so it's difficult to get the ice to cover all the edges. So I might have to, I don't know, re-dye or have a think about that. Okay, so this is it after 6 hours. It's supposed to have 24, so I've turned them over. I've added a load more ice. And just a little bit more dye where I think the sort of white bits are, but actually I turned it over and it mostly sunk all the way through and there was dye mostly evenly on the other side. I've just added a little bit more to top it up, and it needs to be kept wet for 24 hours, so hopefully that's enough ice. It's now had 24 hours. The ice melted again quite quickly, so what I did is I've sprayed it a few times with just water. The water actually had a little bit of salt in from another project, but I didn't think that should matter. And then I covered it with plastic when I went to bed. So hopefully it's still a bit damp because I think the dye needs a bit of moisture to work properly. So let's have a little look. Okay. Oh, this is quite cool. So I'll give these a wash and then a quick rinse and we can have a look at what they look like. Okay, so here they are on the drying rack, all rinsed. I forgot to take a decent photo of the warp before I wound it on using the warping pegs. So here's a sort of rather scrappy photo, but you get the idea. You can see the clear changes in the colour and how different it is to when I show you the one that was dyed in the muck. I've stretched it out over a warping board. And I think what's amazing to me anyway is just how sort of smooth and fine it looks when it's stretched out. So here it is all chained up, ready to go. And this is the remainder that I had left over that was extra. So you can see the colours a little bit clearer in this view of it. And for comparison, this is the skein that I dyed in the muck underneath the grate, so all the extra dye dripped onto it. And then you also have the linen and wool, but I think it really needed some vinegar to have an effect, so it didn't really dye very well. I nearly forgot to show you the recycled cotton stuff. This is how it turned out, which I was quite happy with, although it was a nightmare to untangle. So in the next video, I'm going to be going back to the previous warp, which is now on the loom, ready to go, and I'm going to be doing some weaving on it.